Green lemons.
All right.
My head just doesn't get around green lemons.
It is that time. We are now recording. We are now broadcasting. So I will say hello.
Hello.
How is everyone? Good.
Great.
Let me know how you're doing online. Hello. Welcome. Welcome to week 2 of the Prosperity Plunge. So let's start off with a spiritual mind treatment. If you want to call it prayer, you can call it prayer. Call it whatever you will. Let's set our minds aright for the experience of this evening. So I invite you to simply just be present right where you are. Take a breath, and if it's comfortable, you can close your eyes. Whatever allows you to be perfectly centered right where you are. Recognizing that you are in a present moment experience, that there is nothing else except this present moment. And so let's slip away anything from the past. Let's slip away any expectation of what is to come, and just simply be right where you are. It's right here in this moment that I recognize and know that there is one power. There is one indivisible power. There is one thing going on. There is only one energy. It is the energy of the universe. It is a creative source of all things. It is infinite and it is intelligent. And it is operating right here, fully, right here in this moment, by means of each and every one of us. Each and every one of us is a perfect ideal within this perfection. We each embody God. We each embody this energy and express as this energy. There is one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. And that life is our life right now, right in this moment. And so I allow myself to be fully present with this idea right here and right now. I trust and know that this evening, this perfect evening, unfolds easily, effortlessly, with wonderful questions, with wonderful answers. I trust that every question that needs to be answered is answered brilliantly. I trust that every question that needs to be questioned is questioned perfectly. I trust that there is a perfect flow of wisdom by means of each and every one of us tonight for the highest good of the entire community. This is the truth, and I simply allow this truth to unfold. I'm so grateful for the opportunity to know something deeper. I am so grateful for Edwene Gaines and her brilliance, the brilliance of her words, and the brilliance of her ministry. I am so grateful for what she brings to this world. I am so grateful for everyone's participation right here and right now. And I simply allow myself to be fully steeped in gratitude. So, given that, I simply step out of the way and trust that this evening unfolds as it needs to. I release this word to a perfectly corresponding law, knowing that my word spoken is a done deal. And so I simply let it be, as together we say, and so it is. And so it is. So, good night, Charose. So, how's everyone's week been?
Awesome.
Awesome.
I woke up every day.
You woke up every day. That's something to celebrate. Absolutely something to celebrate. Do you have any questions about the past week? Did anything come up for anyone in the past week? Any challenges come up for anyone in the past week as you were exploring this concept of tithing and giving? And yes.
One of the people that I wanted to tithe to, and I still intend to give them a tithe, I was a little bit afraid to make an offer to them.
Okay.
I wasn't sure they'd be willing to accept it.
Okay.
I suppose the answer to that would be make an offer to them anyway. And
What's the worst that can happen?
I decided I did decide, and I hope. Well, I'll tell you what I did, and you can decide. You can think what you want. I didn't give them that group a tithe this time because I had someone who'd done something for me immediately, like right now, this week, and I decided to give them the tithe instead.
Great. Great. Well, it goes right along with what she says. Tithe immediately. Like, and I do that. Like, if I get money, I figure out how to get it out of my hands. I figure out how to get the
Before you
tithe
spend
out
it.
of my hands. Because it just sets in motion the opportunity to bring on more. And why not? You know, and I will tell you, I received some unexpected income this week.
Yay.
Boom, just like that. Love that. So I'm grateful for that. The worst that could happen is they can say no. And then, what do you do? What do you think you would do in that instance?
I think I'd keep the tithe that I offered.
Uh-huh, interesting. Okay, all right. And it's, you know, we're all at choice. I just want to make sure we know that. My personally, for me, I would find another place. Because what has happened there is they've just stopped the flow. I want to ensure that the flow continues. So I would find another place where I've been spiritually nourished and give my tithe there. Yeah.
I would probably let them know. I would say, I am giving this away anyway. My preference is to give it to you first, just to check in, to let them know that it's going,
And tell them why.
and tell them why, sure. And then I would, if they still said no, then I would,
That's
And never be afraid to say, it is part of my spiritual practice to give back to where I am spiritually fed. And say, you have spiritually fed me, and I
that's a good.
would like to give this to you.
That's a good point. The people I was going to give the money to think I'm eccentric anyway, so I'll just
And good. We should all be so lucky to have people think we're eccentric.
I have a practical question.
Yes.
So if you give as quickly as it comes in, you don't have a reserve. I'm just trying to figure out how this should work. So if you run into a person that's done something lovely and you want to tithe, what would be the number that you come up with? Because it's not sitting there waiting to be
10%.
tithed.
Well, how do you mean that?
If someone, take for example the story of Edwina and the waitress. What would be a logical amount to give the waitress if if I don't have a reserve waiting to be tithed?
Well,
How am I going to do
so
it?
here's-
Practical.
so here's.
That's a practical question.
It is a practical question. It's actually a very good question.
Is it $5? Is it $50?
So in that particular instance, she had money to tithe. She had an amount that she knew she had in mind that she was looking to give away. So, but what I have done, because I've been in that same situation, what I've done is I've actually stepped back and I've thought, what would I like to receive?
Whoa.
What would I like to
Let's
receive?
don't ask
You know we're talking thousands. That's a big dive.
those diamonds.
Those dive. 10% of what you'd like to receive, right?
And I will tithe based on. But would I like to receive?
That's one
$10
advantage of
billion?
holding back, having a tithe in reserve. If you have a tithe in reserve, then
But
you
if
can
you-
give it until it's gone, or you can give the whole lump sum.
But if you do have it in reserve, what are you telling the universe?
You're holding on to it.
Yeah, you're holding on. Oh yeah, holding on to it. You're
Gotta
right.
get rid of it.
Yeah. So I would say give it away, and when you are faced with a situation where, and the other thing that you may want to look at is, I'm assuming that most people in here have paychecks. There's an expectation. You know what money you have coming in. We probably all have a sense of the income we have. Maybe not paychecks, maybe some other form of income, but we all have a sense of the income that's going to be coming in. So it's not uncommon for me to tithe in advance of me receiving
Yeah.
a payment.
Yes, if you know, of course.
If you know.
Yeah.
If you know there's money coming in.
Yeah. So, and you know what? Use your good sense. Whatever works for you.
Just wondered if someone had a pattern.
But what I have, so then the other thing
Method.
that you can do too is, you don't have to, remember 10% is the minimum.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're newbies. Come on.
I get it.
Give us a break.
I
Let's
get
start
it.
somewhere.
Because I actually do tithe more than 10% just in my own life, and it's because I've gotten, not that, and I won't say it's because I've gotten wealthy, it's because I have come to a different understanding for myself of what I would like to give. So I do consistently tithe more than 10%. Even though 10%, I always make sure that 10% is hit no matter what. Shaw Rose.
I'm thinking of a couple of things. For a start, you said, listen to your good sense, which I totally understand and get. And yet, people can end up using good sense to rationalize and so on. So that's all about getting into the, should I use the subjective? It's all about this world. How about, as we are experiencing this guiding practice, to be able to listen to our heart?
Mm-hmm.
Rather than a good sense, and
yeah.
check in, what emotions are present as well as their various reasons.
Yeah, I would say definitely listen to your heart. Also, one thing to be very clear on that it just sparked this for me is, she does talk about, at first, you may be in a place of fear around tithing, because it can be a fearful thing to say, like, if I tithe, am I going to be able to eat? And there are people who do experience that. And of course, what she would say is, you tithe. You tithe, period. So you're dealing with an experience of fear. And you may be faced with that as well. If you really do feel like you've been spiritually nourished by somebody and you don't feel you have anything to tithe at that moment, it may be a fearful place to say, I'm going to give this in full faith. Right? Mm-hmm. But if you do, I do believe it, automatically you're setting the universe up to return it to you. So. Any other thoughts, questions, experiences?
The amount.
The amount?
If you tithe, then as soon as money comes in, some of the amounts are really small. Do you wait until you have a decent amount? I mean, are you going to tithe $3.57 to someone?
So
That's rather embarrassing. It's
Yes,
just
yes.
embarrassing.
that's that's a consideration. Here's, I'm holding this up for a reason.
Woohoo!
Because I have another $5 bill. Because we are talking about money after all, right?
I'll take
Because some people, when they came in tonight,
Me.
said, we're hoping that you'll give away a 10 or a 20 tonight. Right? And I said,
That's a joke.
no, but you know what?
You weren't joking in the
It's a
car.
great expectation to have.
Absolutely.
It's a great expectation to have that the abundance increases.
Yes.
Even though abundance truly can't increase because you live in an infinitely abundant universe. But I said, well, I do have this sitting here, this $5 bill, and then there was a little bit of disappointment. You know what? You're the one who outed yourself. That's all I'm saying. I didn't out anybody. I just said there were people. But there was a little disappointment that it was only $5 tonight that I have sitting here that I may or may not give away. I don't know.
Oh, we were joking.
So I think the
I know,
point is you round it up to something more.
The point is, no. The point is, there was a expression of disappointment, and I said that's one thing that we all need to be very, very aware of. That abundance is abundance, no matter what. There is the divine source does not know the difference between $5 and $5 trillion. It's just abundance. Or a penny.
Like I gave that penny right away.
Right.
Yeah.
So if all you have in that moment is 50 cents to tithe it. And allow yourself to feel good about the givingness. And it is a practice. It is a practice. And you'll know if you listen, you know where you're led.
Like a tips and any store and any.
Yeah. Wherever you're spiritually fed. That's really the key. Spiritual nourishment. Where are you spiritually fed? I keep wanting more lemonade to be in there. I guess, and I will keep trying to
Slurping.
drink it unless it goes away. Do you mind? I'm sorry.
Water?
No, I'm
Is there lemon and what?
no,
Or just
I
what
bought
it
that
is?
before I came in. I'm good. Thank you, Shah Rose. I appreciate that. So,
Starbucks.
So I have another question, and it's somewhat it's sort of a loaded question because I know that somebody's had an experience. But one thing that I do like to check in on also are wins. Did anybody feel that they won this week in any way? Did you have an experience? Aha!
Yeah.
All right. Well, the first hand I saw actually was Nick.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
So tell us about your win.
Yeah, two things happened. My housemate got some work, which she was like she got laid off and temporarily, but she needed some work immediately, and she got some, and that's a big deal to me because she pays half the rent, and I was afraid I was going to have to subsidize it this month.
So you did win.
So that was really quite a blessing. The other thing was somebody I wasn't expecting to see had a conversation with me, and he said, "Remember that conversation you had about the juicer? I still have it if you want it." And I had a lot of trouble remembering that conversation, but the thing is, I really do want a juicer, so I'm going to get it off him next week.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Yes.
Yes. So let's celebrate wins. Awesome. Tell us about your wins.
Sure, and I can't remember, it was over here, but I don't think she's here this evening, but the one who gave the affirmation, I play and I get paid.
Sharon?
Yeah, and I said, I want that. I've been on the lookout for a new job, and into my view came the job where I went, oh my God, I would play and I would get paid. So I went immediately in to do the first step, and the first step was I'm going to contact a woman I worked with 9 years ago and say, this job is up for posting, would you be my reference? And she immediately emailed me back and said, oh my God, you'd be perfect for that. I sent off my resume last night.
Awesome. Brilliant.
Oh, I feel like I won.
And so you did.
And so I did.
Congratulations.
Yay.
I just want to remind everyone online, if you have wins, type them into the chat and let us know so we can let everyone know. I'm going to go to Carmen next.
Well, a couple of things. I finished a job and they tipped me, so that's great. Thank you. And I've been waiting to hear about a program that I applied for, and I wasn't expecting to hear from them for another 2 weeks, and I found out today that I got accepted. So I was like, hey.
Yes. I received that text message in the middle of my day. Awesome. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Charles.
A couple of things. I didn't expect to have any money coming in, of course, see money, I expected this on Saturday. I think it was Saturday. So my first win is, I had unexpected income of 10 cents, a dime. I picked it up and I was so delighted. Because in doing this sheet, there was no expectation of putting anything in on a Saturday, and that happened. So I've got a 1 cent tithe at the moment on that. And the second thing is, I went to the vegan festival on Saturday, and I chose to take a energetic rebalancing session with Access Consciousness. Someone over there, I was very curious. People were lovely to me, and I was very physically tired in certain ways. So yeah, there was lots of wins, people gave me a couple of key things. Gifts, not key things, gifts, food gifts. But this particular win that I had was I bought myself an hour session of the scare, and the wonderful shift and transformation, energetically and so on, is a gold mine in itself. So that's my, that's a good sort of release.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Congratulations. Awesome. Any other wins? Yes.
I'm a bit of a clothes horse. I love clothes. And a professor that I work for, she gave me this beautiful leather handbag from France last week. And another thing that happened is you said something last week that really touched me, because I mentioned about in my budget, I saw a financial advisor a couple of years ago, and she suggested saving 6 months of salary. And I have been working so hard to do that. And then you said something about, why would you have that money? It's just sitting there, and all the work that was involved in saving it. And I just looked at my budget and I decided to take that money and use it to pay off my mortgage.
That's a great
And
idea.
I looked at the amount, and I looked at when my mortgage is due, or the end of this 5-year term, and I can do it. So I made that decision. So to me, that's a big win.
That's awesome.
Shift in my thinking about my money.
And you know what that does? Now look what's going to happen on a month-to-month basis. I assume you're paying your mortgage monthly. On a month-to-month basis, all of a sudden, boom, you've got more. I mean, you've got more than you've been living on, right?
$900 a month.
That's
That's
great.
substantial.
Yeah.
That's great. So congratulations. Congratulations. Awesome. Anyone else? All right.
Oh, wait.
Yes.
Last Tuesday when I got home, I was running on my last $20,
Mhm.
and then I got home. My cousin found $200, and he gave me some money. I was like, "Yes, till payday. Hold me till payday." So,
All right. So now I'm going to admit something to you. Because I don't ever go to the place of fear. Ever. Like I just, around money, I don't do it anymore. I used to be that guy. And boy, when you go to that place of fear, everything falls apart around you. What you don't know, and it's funny because I actually have fear about telling you this, but I'm going to tell it to you anyway. What you do not know is that last week, when I came in to do this class, I was actually overdrawn in my checking account. And I actually had the thought, how am I going to be teaching a prosperity class when I'm overdrawn in my checking account? And of course, because I don't allow myself to go to that place of fear, it all worked out perfectly fine. And I have more now in my checking account than I expected to have at this point, because I think part of it was opening myself up to saying, I have a $5 bill in my hand and I gave it away, right? Because I had to say, do I believe this stuff or do I not believe this stuff? Because if I'm an absolutist, which I said I am on Sunday, I'm an absolutist about this philosophy. If I truly believe it, then I have to live it. And so, it all worked out, of course, because it did. And by the way, instantaneously, by the next day, everything was fine in my checking account.
Thank you.
So, because there are times when, I think, has anyone here ever, well, I won't ask that question, because it's, but I imagine most people have at some point or another been overdrawn in their checking account. It happens.
Yeah.
The thing is, don't go into fear around it. And it doesn't have to be about give it away, like just have the expectation that all is well and surrender to the flow of the divine.
Yes.
Because when we think, here's what can happen. When we think we have to put a stranglehold on the world of form to get what we need to take care of ourselves, we're just constricting the flow that much more. It's about surrendering into the infinite. And when you can do that, everything flows. I truly believe this, and I will teach it till the day I drop. So, yeah.
Then I have to confess something too.
Oh, geez.
Last week I came here feeling very self-righteous because I started this program in May and I already was tithing, and I mentioned this, and then you talked about gross versus net, and I was doing it on net.
Aha.
And I thought, yeah, but I'm on a pension. So then that's a limitation right
Yep.
there, isn't it? So I went home and my conscience was bothering me. I tried to rationalize not paying the gross.
Mhm.
And, I don't even know what my new, what the CPP is before the tax and all this kind of stuff, And my pension just changed because I turned 65, it went down, but then I got OAS, and anyway. So it was a lot of figuring out, but I did it.
Mhm.
And so I figured out I owed $92 more this month, so I sent a check off.
Lovely.
And the only things I've gotten back that I have to change some things around is I went out on 2 dates and I had a tea each time.
Okay.
I mean, I was treated to.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right. So, well, actually, that brings up a good question.
Yeah.
You go out, and you are treated to dinner. Somebody pays for your dinner.
Yeah.
How do you tithe on that? Do you tithe on that?
No.
No, you don't.
No, that's a gift.
No,
It's a gift.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have. I mean, because it really, because this is the method of exchange, you can limit it to just that method of exchange. Yeah.
Would it be appropriate to say just pay it forward? Do a good thing for someone else, whatever
Absolutely.
you're capable of.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
So I was in line waiting to do a drive-through at Tim Hortons one morning, and it was a big lineup, as they can sometimes be. And this car hesitated, and I thought he was nicely letting me in, so I pulled in, and then he honked his horn. I went, "Oh crap! He wasn't letting me in." I felt so bad, but I was already in line, couldn't get out, so I paid for his. I said, "What has he ordered?" And she said, "He's ordered breakfast and coffee." I said, "I'll pay for it." So I thought, "Oh my God, I felt so bad since I stole a spot."
for you.
That's a nice
Great.
opportunity to buy a breakfast.
you.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
And now
So
you're
pay
getting-
it forward.
Absolutely.
And I got my coffee just a smidgen quicker.
Yeah.
But that was important to me that morning, so it was a good trade-off.
I'm a firm believer in paying it forward.
Yeah.
In all areas, in time, talent, and treasure.
Well, one of the things we talked about in the last class was that money is a tool.
Mm-hmm.
And we as human beings are put into various niches, and this money is a tool. And where we see there being a call for it to move forward, it's good for it to flow
Mm-hmm.
in that direction, regardless of tithe or
Absolutely.
whatever.
Absolutely. Yeah, as long as the giving and receiving is in the flow, it's all good. It's all good. Opens everyone up. So this week she talks all about goal setting. How did you guys feel about that? Are you goal setters? No?
Now.
You are now?
I have never been like she describes it.
Right.
This.
She's very specific.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
So it was actually a little bit challenging.
I'll tell you, the first time I did this, this was the first place I felt. Tithing, I was like, 10%. Nope, big deal, check, done. Goal setting was where I failed the first time. Because it felt so overwhelming to me
Yeah.
that I felt like, oh my gosh, I can't, like, no way. It's just too much, because you start looking at like the big picture, right? But then, being able to pare it down to taking one step, and then one step, and then one step, then I was fine with it.
12 is a lot, though.
Is it?
And so
I
it is.
found 12.
Okay. Did you all do the exercises that she had in there?
No.
All right.
I'm not, yes, well, I
Yes,
did some of them.
All right. You'll have an opportunity maybe to do some of them tonight. Maybe.
I did mine on my little, and they disappeared, so.
You know where they went? They went right into the universe, ready for you to fulfill them.
I had that, and so it was.
Look at her.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, Carmen.
I just realized something.
What did you realize?
Well, I was in a little bit of resistance around this all week long.
Uh-huh.
Or, now that you mention it, probably a little bit of overwhelm, right?
Okay.
Because I started writing out a list, and then it was finally this morning I got up and I said, okay, step 2, let's get at it. And I got up and I started doing step 2 and 3 and thinking about it and writing about it. And then just after that is when I got that phone call.
There you go.
I just realized that.
There you go.
Action.
This stuff works. So I love what she writes. She writes, setting goals, well, I think I paraphrased this, but setting goals creates a vessel into which your wealth accumulation from tithing may be caught. Right? Because you have to set up, what is the container for your wealth? And it can always grow, it can always expand. So as you expand your goals into greater and grander visions of your life, you're expanding the container. But you have to set up the container to begin with. So one of the things that she suggests is to take time alone to really get in touch with what's really going on in your consciousness. Yeah.
I've actually been working on the goal setting for over a month now, and I had to give myself the break and say it will come when it will come. So I'm still building my 12, but I'm actually feeling better about as I have more time and I let the thoughts percolate. Then it's like what I thought I wanted, I didn't really want, and now things are percolating, going, what I really want is that. So I'm really enjoying letting it just come together.
It's great.
And not being so pushy.
Awesome. Yeah, don't be pushy.
Let yourself off the hook.
That's
Jonathan's favorite saying.
Well, and letting yourself off the hook is law 3, forgiveness, right?
Yeah.
You have to forgive yourself. So you, if she only put step 3 before step 2, then when I got to step 2 and was feeling overwhelmed by the goals, I could have stepped back and said, oh wait, I need to forgive myself and let myself off the hook.
She's done it incorrectly, you should send her a
I'm going to
little
let
note.
her know that she is absolutely wrong.
And your way is a much better way.
Her way is much better. Yeah. So taking time alone. How many of you actually really truly take time alone?
Doing mental muscle, are you kidding?
Away from television, away from radio, away from the things we use to distract ourselves. Awesome. Yeah, I'm one of those people, I will admit freely. I gotta get on the internet. I gotta watch. And then there's the time when I've got, the television on and I'm surfing the web and I'm petting my cats and I'm thinking about what am I gonna talk about on Sunday. I always have a lot going on in my mind. So it's really important for me personally to step back and say, I need to shut all of that out. I need to take time. And that's why for me meditation is so important. I'm really specific about meditation practice in my life. And I've been asked, did we talk about meditation last week?
Not here.
Not here.
It's hard to know.
Everything I talk about in any given situation always kind of melds in my brain. I always assume I've talked to everybody about it. Because one of the questions that's come up recently, I remember now where it was, but had come up for me recently, well, to me, not for me, is how do you meditate? Which is a valid question. How do you meditate? What is your understanding of meditation? So I will ask the question, what is your understanding of meditation?
My meditation can take many forms and often does. I mean, I have a meditation practice where I'll sit and I'll concentrate on my breath and I'll just try to eliminate thoughts. But then sitting outside with a cup of tea, listening to the birds is a wonderful meditation. And just listening to what's happening around me, taking a walk by the lake is a meditation. So it doesn't have to just be, the standard meditation practice. Doing yoga is a meditation form. So.
Yeah, but also there's something that's interesting that you say, the standard meditation practice, because there is no standard.
But I think what people generally think of a meditation practice is sitting,
Sitting.
you know, on a,
Lotus position.
yeah, exactly, yeah.
Right?
So that's what I mean by, you know, what people
Yeah.
accept that.
Yeah, there is a perceived standard, but you know the truth is
It can be anything.
there is no
Sitting by
standard.
the water.
Because I say another one of my catchphrases I say all the time is technique is anything that works. Right? So when you find what works for you, do it. Yeah, Charose.
There was a time, it isn't right now, as far as I know, but there was a time where the meditative state and the rudiments of that was present for me in daily living, and especially when I was reading. Well, that actually is still present. To tell you the truth, most definitely. So, what I want to say about this is, yes, meditation as a practice is really great because it gets one going. But for me, it's also, okay, what's the point if you're only doing it sitting down there, you know, in some ways.
Yeah.
Although I also appreciate that that is so important and key, and I am there doing that. But I just wanted to voice that.
Great. Thank you. Who here knows the steps of treatment? Or so treatment, which is our form of prayer within this philosophy that we teach, and we teach a specific method of prayer. The first two steps are recognition. It's called recognition and unification. Recognition is the recognition that God is all there is. There's only one divine source. There's only one power. And you'll hear me, like, if you listen to me treat, you'll recognize that I always start with, there's only one thing going on. God is all there is. That's basically all I'm affirming in that moment. And that's all I'm focused on. God is all there is, step one, recognition. Step two is unification, which is the logical progression that if God is all there is and God is infinite, then I and you, we are each of us individualized expressions of God. We are not separate from God. God is not out there. God is fully, fully present right here. And for me, in my meditation practice, steps 1 and 2. That's all I'm focused on. Steps 1 and 2. God is all there is. That's who I am. A great mantra that I use, speaking of mantras, I actually said it in my treatment tonight. There is one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now.
You say that a lot.
I do. Yeah. But I'll tell you, you sit and you repeat that mantra for 20, 30, 40 minutes.
Could you repeat it?
There is one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. Yes.
That really spoke to me when you said that tonight, because I remember I was sitting here with my eyes closed, and I thought, I'm living God's life. And that really hit me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I will get to. The other thing that it does for me is, life is an active thing.
Yeah.
Right? And I think sometimes we can become passive in this idea of God is all there is and I am God, and so I can just let, No, I'm living God's life. So whatever I'm doing, whether I call it good or whether I call it bad, it's God's life that I'm living. And I am in full choice in terms of how I proceed in any given moment. So it's an active thing. That's why I love that as a mantra. It's actually in the Science of Mind textbook a lot, in several locations. Yes.
Two things. One, would you put that up on the blog, please?
Yes.
So that I can, because I don't have my device here.
Great.
And I don't know if we're having success with the chat part. I think people are okay, but nobody's making comments. Not that that's a bad thing. And one guy did say he's being kicked on, so I just said keep coming back.
Okay.
He keeps getting bumped out for whatever reason.
Send me an email at revjonathan. Here's what I'm gonna do.
Make a sign.
I'm gonna make a sign.
Make a sign. I'm just worried about them as long
Yeah,
as they can
because
have the video, then they're, you
the
know.
chat sometimes does fail,
Okay.
unfortunately. So
Okay, so.
actually, Chris, you're online. Send me a text message and let me know what's happening with the chat. But if you want to send me an email, you can send it to revjonathan@csltoronto.com. If I was up there, I'd actually put a graphic up,
Yes,
but I'm not up there, so
You have that graphic?
I actually do. Yeah, yeah, because I've done it on Mental Muscle.
Always. I think
When
I think they've got it, Jonathan.
Well, you know, sometimes you got to hold it up long enough. So yeah, I apologize if the chat
Okay,
is not
good.
working.
There are people, they're just, I guess they're quiet.
Oh, okay. Then
Chris
all
is
right.
not on.
Oh, Chris is not on?
Lena is connected. MA is on.
All right. I
And
thought I saw Chris
Bill
earlier.
and Big Money keep coming off and on.
All right.
Chris was
Money.
on, but is gone now.
Technology.
Technology.
Yeah.
Let's just trust and know right here and right now that the technology flows easily and effortlessly because technology is part of God too. It's all God. There is nothing else. And so God flows perfectly in this moment for the highest good of every single person involved. And so it is. Yes.
Well, you were talking about meditation being anything. I actually teach kids to juggle as meditation.
Because it's so
I first teach them the breathing exercise, so they kind of get the idea that the breath outside them and the breath inside them are the same. But juggling, I start with one and basically encourage that they understand they're in the moment. And to learn to juggle, they have to be in the moment.
Yeah.
And it's fun. And so with kids, it's always to get them to form a habit that's easy to do and fun, because some people find meditating difficult because they look for it, they have to find a place to be comfortable and then a mantra and all of the music and all of the things to go with it, and they see it as that sit down and be nothing kind of meditative process instead of just maybe having fun.
Yeah, and I think that there is certainly because a lot of people who are new to meditation do have preconceived notions of what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
You know, I forget. I think it might be Joan Borisenko in her book Inner Peace for Busy People, which I think we've got a couple copies in the bookstore. I think it's her who said that, you know, let yourself off the hook, basically, with meditation. If your meditation practice is you sit down and you just listen to the thoughts in your mind, like, what am I going to have for dinner later? Oh, I have to remember to pick up the dry cleaning. If that's what's happening, meditation is about allowing. It's not about, now it can be, there are practices of trying to quell the noise in your mind, right? Quell? That's a, yeah. I'm like, so it's a word that I don't use that often, but quelling the noise in your mind. But a way, you know, are you going to do that like that? Probably not. One of the ways to get there is, as you have the thoughts, start recognizing the space in between the words and start expanding that space. So it's just, there are different methods, right? So mantras, expanding the space in between words. There's also one that I learned early, gosh, when I started meditating 25 years ago. There was one, what I started with was actually, it's in one of the Buddhist traditions, counting to 10. However, in your focus, and you had to focus on a flower or something, in your focus, 1. If any erroneous thought came into your mind before you got to 2, you had to start over.
Oh.
Yeah.
And I will tell you to this day, I've never made it to 10.
Really?
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, because you're going into it going, okay, I gotta get to 10, I gotta get
No,
to 10.
I'm never going into it like that. No.
I gotta get there. It'll never
I have
happen.
cats,
Yeah.
that's funny.
Cats?
Yeah, but you know what, I will get to 10 someday.
Sure you will.
I will. But I also don't do that particular method all the time anymore. For a while I was doing it all the time, but I've gone into other things. So take time alone, away from the perceived chaos of the world. That's really where this all started. And get acquainted with the real you. Yes?
It's interesting, we're talking about meditation with goals, and it just strikes me that actually for meditation, the goal isn't get to 10.
No.
The goal is the process.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You had to make a habit of using the process.
Yes.
Exactly.
You're laughing about process.
I know. And did you hear James a week and a half ago in his
Yes,
service
I did.
talk about it? Like Jonathan moves to
And
Canada,
Jonathan goes-
and he sounds Canadian now because he says process all the time.
Yeah, in the middle of his.
In the middle of his talk, in front of the entire NoHo crowd. So getting acquainted with the real you, and this also speaks to, she talks about dreams in the book. You know, goals are typically based in, what do you dream about? What can you dream big? And do you dream big? And what holds you back from achieving your dreams? No, really, what holds you back from achieving your dreams?
Fear.
Fear.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, that's
There is-
only it.
There is no other answer, really. Fear is the only answer. It's the only thing that will ever hold you back from your dreams. Conquer the fear, you will achieve anything. Anything. You may end up becoming a minister, I don't know, and moving to Toronto, I don't know. Wait, you're all already in Toronto, so okay.
Well, you know somebody like that?
I do, yeah. Yeah, and actually, talk about a big dream. When I first visited Toronto 17 years ago, wow. I actually fell in love with the city. I mean, I've said this 8,000 times. I fell in love with the city, and I thought, I'm going to live there someday.
And lo and behold.
Well, I had no idea how I was going to get here because, as an actor back then, we're pretty transient people. Like, we don't stay in one place for very long, and if I was going to be here, it might be for a show, but I'd have to leave the country. Like, the divine source found a way for me to live here permanently. Yes.
But you did,
So-
you said someday. So you left it wide open.
I did leave it wide open. I knew that, but I always knew I would live here. There was that part of me that always knew, even before I was in Science of Mind, before I knew anything about the power of the mind, I knew I was going to live here someday. So there's a woman named Maria Namath, who also is a prosperity guru. I don't know if any of you have ever heard her. She has a book called The Energy of Money. I've heard her speak a number of times, and she asks a great question at the top of every single presentation she gives. And I think this totally goes in line with tonight, with goals. The question that she asks is this: would it be okay with you if your life got easier?
Yes.
Yes.
Take that.
All right. All right. So then here's the question. If you want your life to get easier, if it would be okay with you that your life got easier, what is your relationship with money? Do you look at money as something that is difficult to master?
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
It's a tool.
It's a tool. Okay. What do you believe to be true about financial success? What is financial success?
Whatever you want it to be.
Whatever you want it to be. Be more specific. If we're going to get specific, Dwayne's very clear, you got to be specific. What is financial success?
Spare and share.
Oh, that's a good one.
Money to spare and to share.
Share and share.
Great.
Pay the debt.
Pay the debt. Live debt free for me.
Like that's better.
Live debt free.
Exactly. Live.
Live debt free.
Yeah.
That's financial success.
Yes.
What else? What else is financial success?
Treat your family and whatever you want to.
Treat your family to whatever they want.
Treat yourself.
Treat yourself to whatever you want.
Yeah.
That's right.
Right? It's funny. You all seem to be all of a sudden very quiet about financial success.
And all your heart's desires be met.
Let all your heart's desires be met.
Own
Great.
your house. Whatever that is.
Say that again.
Own your own.
Own your own home. Okay.
Not to ever have that fear of lack of money ever again, right?
That's a
To be
great
without
one.
the fear.
Yeah, to live without
To live
fear.
To live fear-free.
To live fear-free.
To be secure.
to be secure. Awesome.
Oh, that's a good one.
That is a good one.
To travel whenever, wherever, for however long I want.
Ooh, I like that one. Here's my next question. Do all of these things that you've mentioned, or do any of them truly require money?
Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
All right, explain to me which ones do.
Well, to get on an airplane, I need money.
Not necessarily.
Okay, I could get a job on an airplane, right?
Or
Is that
it
what
could
you're thinking?
Or a gift, no?
Or it could be gifted.
Could be gifted to you.
Could
Somebody
be
may hand you a airplane
Perhaps,
ticket.
yes, yeah.
How about what Edwin did to go on the cruise?
I went on a Caribbean cruise. I didn't pay for the cruise.
Correct.
Yeah. You work though.
I sang at 3 half-hour services. The rest of the time I laid in a cabana. I was on the ship for 7 days. You know, I sang 3 songs.
Deal.
I sat in the sun.
Deal.
So you can't go in the sun. No.
It's a wonderful deal.
It was a great deal.
Freedom to do what you desire.
Freedom to do what you desire. Yeah.
So we all have that.
What else requires money that I can now tell you doesn't? No, actually, and another
Well, I
thing,
suppose nothing does.
The house.
owning a home,
How do you do that without money?
you
Well,
never
your
know
parents
what
can
may
inherit it
show
to
up. You could win it.
My
could
parents
win it.
can inherit it to me.
Yeah, you might inherit it.
Okay.
I will.
You can barter.
You can barter.
Sure. I like that word.
Yeah.
Barter is good.
Back on the airline thing, if you know any flight attendants,
Yeah,
That's right. Yeah.
they may have, you know,
good deal.
well, no, they have, a lot of them have buddy tickets. Everybody's gonna go out and say, who do I know who's a flight attendant?
No.
I got my first home that way. I was working in a real estate office before I knew any of this. This is going way back, 23 years ago. And I was looking at homes, and I was living in, my husband was looking after Metro Housing. So I was living in a crappy building, and I wanted it out, and I was looking at these homes, and I said, this is my last chance. I don't see why I can't have a house. I'm going to get that house. They were more affordable than here in Toronto. They were in Peterborough. Had no idea how we were going to get there, but I was just determined I was getting that house. And I just believed it. And I was just taught, our uncle, my husband's uncle came to visit, and I just told him how I wanted this house, and he said, well, Tom, you're in my will, and your father did so much for me growing up, and I want to repay it, so I'll just give it to you now. So we got the down payment. We went and bought the house, and then he didn't have a job, but I just says, oh, you're going to get one, and a month before the house was finished, he got the job, so.
Awesome.
Wow.
Awesome. I have a house story to also tell. I want to if you do get this online, because I just got a text message, there's an option to use a lower resolution feed. So if it's cutting out for you, you look on there. If you mouse over the viewer, you'll see where it says hi. Click on that, and you can do a lower resolution feed. That may help with people's issues with it cutting out a little bit. So I know someone who lived in New York, owned an apartment in New York on the Upper West Side. Bought it ages and ages and ages ago. And of course now I'm going to give details and you're all going to know it's James Mellon. Because he had a very successful Broadway acting career. He bought an apartment on the Upper West Side when he was in his 20s.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
Right? And at a point he moved to Los Angeles, and they were living in he and Kevin were living in an apartment that they were renting, but they still owned in New York. And in this neighborhood, they kept looking around. There was this one house that came up for sale, and they kept looking at it thinking, oh, it's way out of our price range, right? Like, we can't possibly do that. Of course we can't do that. They they would do things like she suggests, like go to the open house, talk to the realtor, like feel like you can buy the house, right? At one point, and I may be telling the story totally incorrectly, they had gone back to New York, and there was some change in the housing situation there, because it was part of a co-op in a building, and they were going to do something, and it was going to affect the property value. It was going to lower the property value of their place there, or something like that. Anyway, James was fighting with the association and finally said, you know what, forget it. I'm going to let you buy me out. So I forget how it worked out. Anyway, they ended up paying him for something, and he was able to turn it around, sell his apartment in New York to somebody else for twice the amount, which then gave him the down payment for this house in LA. That's how he came by and he has a beautiful house in LA. So you just never know, like, what is going to come into your experience. And if you ever let money be the thing that holds you back, that's what you will experience. So it's about opening up the possibility and trusting that God is your source, not your job, anything like that. Yeah.
And this is another, talk about a win. I've been planning, I have a year off in a year, and I promised my children we're gonna go on a trip somewhere in the world. And I have no way to pay for that trip. So I've let that go. I've just said, it doesn't matter, because God is my source. I don't have to worry about that right now, and it's a year away. I just found out from a teacher friend these exchanges you can do in the summertime, and you get paid to play, you get paid to do your thing, and we could go to Hong Kong or we could go to France, and I could take my children, and then I'd get paid and we could do our thing.
Awesome.
I mean, I'm not there yet, I haven't done it yet, but it just opening up the possibility that I don't have to pay for it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Great. So Maria Namath has a great definition for financial success. Her definition for financial success is this: doing what you say you will do with money consistently, with clarity, focus, ease, and grace. Doing what you say you will do with money consistently, with clarity, focus, ease, and grace. And when she talks about clarity, what she's saying is you must be clear about what is important to you to spend your money on. Be clear about what's important to you to spend your money on. Because if you're not spending it on the things that are important to you, what are you telling the universe? Bring me more into my experience that is not important to me.
Yeah, I was living, like I said, my husband was superintendent, and I had these children, and my son was getting to be friends with a kid whose father was the crack dealer. And I said, we're getting out of this, and I'm not accepting this. It was the first time I started to think about that I could actually make this request, and not just have to go along with the tide and accept whatever came.
That's right. Yeah.
And it just started working.
And so it is. So that's clarity. Be clear about what's important to you to spend your money on. Focus. Focus your energy and attention on where it will do the most good. Because again, if you're focusing energy and attention on something else, you're telling the universe, bring me more of that. Ease. Yes.
Can you repeat the focus, please?
Yes, focus your energy and attention on where it will do the most good. I'm wandering. I'm a little wandery tonight. I'm in the flow.
I mean, just tonight. You always wander.
And a high resolution, you're being dithered.
Yeah, yes. That's why he's cutting out.
You got that one?
Please?
You got focus?
Oh, the high resolution. I got
Okay. Ease. I love this. Keep it simple. Avoid overwhelm or exhaustion. Here's the thing about money. Money should be simple. Money should never cause you stress. If money is causing you stress, rethink your relationship to money. Because what you may find when you really rethink it, it's not about the money at all.
It's about the fear.
It's about the fear of what the money represents or does not represent, or fear of lack, certainly.
Right.
Keep it simple. You know, so I'm certainly guilty of this. I complicate everything, right? And I have to step back sometimes and say, you know what? No, keep it simple. Keep it simple. And grace. What do you think grace means? Flow, ease. Well, we've talked about ease, yes.
Love.
Charm.
Love. What was that?
Charming.
Charming?
Charm.
Charm?
No.
Okay.
Grace. Like beautifully, like something.
Like beautiful grace, yes.
Gratitude.
Gratitude. Your
Humble.
grace specifically in this instance, she's really talking about your capacity to experience gratitude.
Okay.
Gratitude for all things, gratitude for your experience in life, gratitude for your life, gratitude for your friends, gratitude for everything that comes to you, that upholds you. So given those definitions, hear this definition again of financial success. Doing what you say you will do with money consistently, with clarity, focus, ease, and grace. You can just feel the relaxation in that. At least I can. So then what may hold some of those things back for you is cycles. Cycles of thought, which are habits, right? Which I talk about all the time. It's another one. I'm always talking about habits.
Really? I've never heard that before.
Never, ever? What's your tendency in thought? What are the habits? What habits do you have around money that are outside of this definition? And to start to really look at it, because do you have places where you are not clear about what's important to you to spend your money on? Get clear. Because you may have ingrained it as a habitual expression that until you retrain that in your own mind, it's going to keep showing up.
So clearly Starbucks is very important to you. as a place to spend your money.
I will tell you, less Starbucks now. I really go to independent coffee shops
Good. Okay.
more.
Good. That's
Yeah.
Yes, he is actually.
Well,
We like
I actually have always preferred independent coffee shops. Part of the reason that I ended up, well, Starbucks is easy. It's ubiquitous.
easy.
It's
It's
everywhere.
everywhere.
Like you always, if I need to go find coffee fast, I can go on my phone to the Starbucks app and I can find it. Boom, just like that. So that's easy. But I do prefer small independent coffee shops.
Yes.
And I do make coffee at home mostly.
you.
Yeah, I do. I was going somewhere else with this too. Oh, but the reason that Starbucks became so easy for me is at NoHo, the NoHo Art Center for New Thought is literally next door to a Starbucks. So
Yeah. Wait.
you walk out the door and, well, why walk down
Yeah.
there when I can just go
Here.
right there? So that's really why Starbucks became.
Well, the thing about habits is they really worked at one time.
Well, they're
And
convenient.
Many people use, when I go to Starbucks,
Tim Hortons, sure.
it may be a meeting, I want to treat myself, there are a variety of things.
Mhm.
Whatever it is, wherever one goes. And even habits, they worked at one time.
Yeah.
It's when, it's updating them.
Well, why do we ingrain habits? What is the purpose of a habit?
It gives you that semblance of order,
Mm-hmm.
that everything is right in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Step by step control.
Control.
Yeah, totally
Yeah.
control.
Yeah. At the root of all habit is one basic thing: the desire to express life. The only reason we engage in habits is because we desire to express life. Now, some of the habits can be destructive, but we have an erroneous thought in there that says, for instance, smoking is a habit. Smoking is destructive, and if you smoke, I'm not here to say quit smoking. It's not my purpose. I was a smoker for 10 years. I don't know if anybody knows that. I mean, there's some. I smoked for 10 years. Yeah, 15 to 25. 15.
Yeah.
Can you believe that? I was 15 years old when I started
That's great, you
smoking.
quit.
I did, and I quit cold turkey. I one day said, "I'm done." That was it.
Wow.
But what I recognize now is that when you put the power, and if I speak about smoking, when you put the power of feeling good into this thing, the habit is, this makes me feel good, desiring to express life. That's why you engage in habits. The long-term effect of some habits is that they are more destructive than constructive. So just taking a look at those things. But every habit is born out of that desire. Every habit is born out of the desire to express life. If you are a rampant, obsessive overspender, because it feels good in the moment,
Exactly.
you may be doing more harm than good. So what is your habit? You know, so these are the things you got to look at if you want to change your experience of money. What limitations? I love this in the book. What limitations have you decided are true that keep you from your good? Because all limitations exist in mind. Do you think you're too old? Do you think you're too young? Do you think you're too heavy? Do you think you're too skinny? Do you think you're too anything? What are the things, and it may be worth this week making a list of the considerations that you have about your own life. This is not homework, but it may be worth doing this exercise of saying, you know what are the considerations? I'll tell you a consideration that I held on to for a really long time, and I had to get rid of it, is I'm too gay. No, seriously. I act too gay, I'm too feminine, and it held me back in an acting career.
Did it?
It did.
Because you let it.
Because I let it.
Yeah.
But I'm the only me there is. So, you know what? Quite frankly, if you think I'm too feminine,
Oh, let me
who the hell cares?
Let me really introduce you to some two gay guys.
Oh no,
I mean, you don't even compare. Holy!
I have rethought that
Good.
entire consideration.
Good. Phew.
So, yeah. No, but I allowed that consideration, which is not true,
No.
to hold me back.
But it's interesting what we come up as a concept, like
And where does that come from?
gay. What is too gay? You know?
Yeah. And where does that come from, though? I mean,
Other people have said stuff
other
like when
comments
your
from
arms
people,
are
and
moving
then
around a lot.
you took it
Yeah.
and believed it, and it became your belief.
It could be any number of things. It could be that I looked at society. Well, I'll tell you one of the things. So I don't really want this to become a lecture on
feminine?
my coming out. But I will tell you, when I first came out of the closet, because I didn't understand what it was, right? I didn't understand, like, I thought I had to be different at that point.
You always hesitate. You know
I
you're
know.
going to tell us.
I know I'm going to tell you, but it's just, am I ready to say this? Yes. I actually did the drag circuit for a while.
Yeah, you've told
I
us.
did. I guess I have told you that. I did drag for a while, and I thought that I had to really be overly flamboyant, and And at one point, I had to step back and say, "This is not me."
I'm trying to imagine you with a wig.
Or heels. I bet you still have pictures.
There's a comment online.
What does it say?
It says, my limitation
Mm-hmm.
is living simply without a place of my own gives me more happiness than if I had a house and a car and obligations.
Ah,
And that's okay. That works for that
yeah.
person.
Well, I'll tell you, I was so happy to get rid of my car when I moved here. Yeah, I'm not a car person. I find it to be. I find cars to be constrictive, personally.
No, I know you can't
I'm
enjoy
gonna
your
live
Yes.
Do you think that, like, because certain people go through certain traumas in their life, or certain periods of like stress and suffering that they pour that within their finances. Like they say if like they're conditioned it mentally, but they don't realize that they are manifesting it with their finances and their
I do believe that happens.
and so they feel that's the normal. That's what life is supposed to be about, is suffering and limitation, and
Yes.
so it's the norm. So therefore, I can handle it. My ego thinks I'm big enough to handle suffering.
Yes, and I can actually I can point to an example of someone who lived their life in lack because of that very idea. My mom. And you find this with people who lived through the Depression. They very many of them live in the fear of not having enough. And that was my mom. And so she took that on. I don't think she could ever have pointed to that as what caused her experience of lack and fear around it. But it's very funny because then, it was always, you've gotta do these things to protect yourself financially. And I'm not saying don't do things to protect yourself financially, but what I am saying is that if they're born out of fear, you're going to create the very situations that will make the lack happen.
Right.
And that's the way my mom lived her life. I mean, I lived. She's still alive, just to be clear. And does she live her life like that anymore? I think she's come about quite a bit. I still think there are places where, we're all improving. We're all in an upward spiral of evolution, so, yeah.
Well, that's the thing about limitations, in that they actually were the frontier at one point.
Yeah.
And so they may be a limitation now, but they could have been the frontier at one point.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And isn't everyone in the world, and I will say everyone in the world, now, everyone in the world is getting wealthier all the time. There's more wealth expressed in this world now than there has been at any point in history.
Yeah, for the population of the world to double, then that prosperity has to be there.
Has to. It has to. And of course it's there because prosperity, first of all, money is a made-up idea. And so it's always going to be there.
Not necessarily.
No, it will always be there until we decide we don't need it.
That's what I meant.
But as long as we as a collective decide that it is a requirement, it's always going to be there. So if I can instill anything in anyone who is watching online or in this room or watching at a later date, money for you individually will always be there. No matter what. No matter what. Can you really believe that? Can you really instill that belief?
Jonathan, that
Yep.
is true individually, but I'm also so aware that as I was growing up in England, I had everything I needed with so much abundance and joy and full of life, and I wasn't spending a single cent, my dear.
Yeah.
So I can see that happening as well at any time for any single person.
Yeah. So why don't we then expand it based on that? You will always have what you require,
Yes,
no matter what.
that's true.
You will always have what you require for your sense of joy, aliveness, and wellness.
There you go.
And for your expectations of what you require.
Absolutely. Yeah. And why is that true? Why is it true that you will always have what you require?
Because the universe.
Because that's principle.
That is principle, but why? So what is it about the principle, though?
It's available to us.
It's available to us, yes,
The universe
We
is
need
abundant.
only ask.
Because we always have what we need.
but why is that true? It's always available to
God
us.
is in
It's
everything.
infinite. It's infinite.
Right.
And who are you? There you go.
There we go.
There you go. You are the divine embodiment of the creative
There you
source
go,
of the
there you go.
universe.
Yeah.
So the creative source of the universe always provides. No matter what.
Gotta get you dreads.
You know what?
Dreads.
Yeah, they're making fun of the fact that I kind of get my Michael Beckwith moment sometimes, right? So here's a good question to ask yourself. And well, I'm gonna ask it in one way, and the real question should have a different word. But this is the question that everyone needs to answer this week. What do you want?
A lot of things. I know.
What do you want? Has anybody really taken the time to ask that question of themselves? What do you want? And she's very specific. You must be specific.
Right.
You must be specific. This also goes in line with that good book that the good book. It goes in line with the good book that we teach right here at the Center for Spiritual Living.
Hallelujah.
That's very amazing.
He's very clear. Ernest Holmes is very clear too. When you do your spiritual mind treatment, when you do pray, you must be specific about your requirements. Be specific. What did I write here? Be specific and don't. Oh, I love this. Be specific and do not leave your good up to the willy-nilly machinations of a less than specific mind.
Willy-nilly, not willy.
He uses willy-nilly all the time, so I've taken that on because that's not a quote of his, but
It's a 1930s thing.
I know and I love it. But here's what'll happen if you leave it up to the machinations of an unspecific mind. What will end up happening is you may be taking on subconsciously the collective consciousness, which may be in a consciousness of lack at any given time.
Yeah.
Right? And if you take that on, there's your experience. What do you want? What do you want to experience? What do you require? And be specific. How many of you, so those of you who are in mental muscle, we only do this for a week. How many of you have decided now, because you're taking this, that you're going to do 21 days? No complaining, no gossip, no criticism, no negative,
Every day.
no negative language.
Start at one again.
Don't drive in the city.
Yeah.
I would love some advice on how to deflect and filter away.
I was gonna say the same. Yeah.
Because as soon as I decide not to, it all comes at me,
Yeah.
and I don't know what to do.
Well, one of the things that happens in mental muscle, because we do a week of no complaining,
I'd love to. I'm trying to do the 21 days, and then
is don't be afraid if it starts to come at you to say, I'm not participating in this.
say it out loud or both.
Say it out loud.
I'm not
Say,
participating.
I'm not participating in this. I'm taking an active role in my positive conscious thinking,
Okay, thank you.
and I appreciate that you would like to tell me this. I'm not going to participate. You know, you're in charge. That's the thing. We all want to make sure that everybody's nice
feeling nice and good.
yeah, and that everything's warm and cozy. And you know what?
To my own detriment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it's at your own detriment, it is not worth it.
Okay, thank you.
You must again.
You know what I do
You
care?
must take care of yourself.
Right.
Thank you.
The masks drop. Put your mask on, and then assist someone else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? When I did the week of not complaining, I just didn't say anything. I just didn't talk.
Well, that's what Edwin says. All of a sudden, she got
I just
really
didn't quiet. I would look and I go,
And I love her response when something shows up that seems negative. Well, that's great. Well, that's great. Right? And
oh, lovely.
what was the one that I came up with in service one day? When I talk about when you do inadvertently, because it's all inadvertent, right? When you do create something in your experience that is destructive or negative, to look at it and go, look what I created.
What was I thinking?
Yes, exactly.
What was I thinking? Well, except to now here's the thing to not go to. Oh, what was I thinking?
No.
No.
The light,
What was I thinking?
Yeah. Thank you.
Recognizing that there's only the now moment.
You are the point of power.
You are the point of power in this moment for your entire experience.
Yeah, I needed a strategy to take my power, and that will help. Thank you.
Yes.
And you have to let yourself off the hook.
Absolutely. And I will get I am getting to that too. But I want to address something I heard in the back of the room.
Oh,
You thought I didn't hear it. If you're going to engage in this practice, don't drive. Here's my
So true.
I disagree because for me, it's the
Why?
biggest
I'm much
spiritual, but
better
one of
than
the
I
biggest
used to be.
spiritual practices I have.
Yeah.
What?
Try
Well, it's a
to-
practice.
totally.
It's a practice.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yes, because basically what I'm going to say is that's a belief.
That's right.
And if you choose to believe that, then, I mean, if you don't want to drive, I'm not saying don't not drive. I mean, drive, don't drive, I don't care. But if that's really the belief, take a look at the belief. Because when you change your mind about your experience of driving, the experience will change.
Okay, so help me with this.
Mhm.
So every day I get into the car and I go, okay, so it's going to be a different experience today. Absolutely. I'll let them cut me off. It's okay. I'll just get there a few seconds. It's okay. Everything's okay. And then it starts great. And then,
And then?
before I know it, I'm
By the time
blue.
you get to
The inside of the car is blue, and I go, damn it!
You're,
I have to start all over again.
Gail, you know what I do?
you're only,
When I find that's happening a lot, where people are cutting me off and all that, I
And
just
then
say,
I've lost
okay,
it.
God, this is kind of weird here. I've had
But
enough of this.
But I
I'm ready
forget.
for
and I
I'm
lose
ready
it.
for you to
Then
help
I
me
do start
here,
over again.
and then the rest of the ride is fine.
Every day.
Yeah.
I go with the
so
intention.
here's what I used to do, because I come from a place where driving
LA.
could be a challenge. What I used to do is first of all, I would recognize, if there is a purpose for them to have a need to be ahead of me,
Go ahead. Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
What effect does that really have on me? Now, you're only, how do I want to phrase this? The opportunities, there we go. The opportunities that show up when you're faced with those circumstances is to recognize that you're in charge of your reaction to the circumstances.
I know. This is really a practice. I'm
And it
really
is.
having an issue with it.
It's a
I know.
practice.
I want enough money so I can have a chauffeur.
All right. How about just,
Okay.
I require a chauffeur. Don't tie it to money.
Don't tie it to money. I require a chauffeur at my beck and call.
There you go.
Excellent.
And you know what?
If you pay me, I'll do it.
I have one.
No money involved.
Yeah, I will too. I will too.
I have a chauffeur at my beck and call.
Taxi.
It's called Halo. It's an app on my phone.
What is
Anywhere
that?
I am, I can hail a cab and it will come right to me. I don't even I can be anywhere in the city. I can hail a cab, it'll come right to me. I don't have to be on the street and go, hey, right?
Yeah.
So,
That's good.
Woo.
Sure, Rose.
yes, Sharos, I'm sorry.
I'm just sort of considering that sometimes, because we want something to change, we treat on it or ask for help or whatever, but we're already coming from a place that this is not okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, making friends with how things are as is, would that be the first step before asking for change? Possibly?
Well, yes, because one of the things is that we never pray to change the circumstances, ever. We never pray to change circumstances. Did you know that? I've taught it. Were you listening in other classes? We never pray to change circumstances in the world of form. We only ever pray to do what, Carmen?
Change our mind.
Change our mind. Again, it goes to the changing your relationship to the circumstances.
Intellectually, I
which is
should
only in
get
mind.
that.
But what it does is when you change your mind, the circumstances must change. But if you're going after the goal of changing the circumstances, it's a losing situation. Yeah.
I would just like to point out that you, Gail, you stated,
Here she goes.
Uh-oh. She's gonna be a practitioner someday.
are
Watch
you
out.
aware that what you told us was that, okay, every day I start out and I say, I'm going to let them cut me off. Are you aware you said that?
That's right.
Yes, and because
Okay,
there's
but is that
stupid
what you
drivers
want?
out there.
That's bully, that's bully.
Nobody asked.
What you want is a graceful,
She's asking for it.
peaceful
Yeah.
driving experience.
That's
Yes.
okay. So you're quite right, Carmen.
And one thing to also be aware of, again, I'm actually going down to the basics of treatment, right? By talking about what is going to happen.
Yeah.
You're in
Yes. Yes.
You gotta. It's always got to be in the present moment. Because if you say, "I'm going to have a great experience,"
I am.
I am having a great experience.
here's the going
It's
to.
never gonna
I'm
happen.
going to have a great experience.
day.
Yeah.
Someday. Wait, I have a great experience. Right? It's always in the present moment. Make your affirmations. That's why, remember last week I said,
A lot of now.
first person, present tense. Always, always, always. Lorna, yes.
Since mental muscle,
Mhm.
and I had a hard time with this in the driving, and I learned to breathe and let it go, and like 90-something% of the time, I'm very good. And I've also learned to laugh at what some of the other drivers
Yes.
do.
Yes. Yes.
However, the other day, somebody dangerously cut me off, and I honked, which I don't do very often. He honked back at me.
And did you laugh?
I
That's awesome.
Sometimes I wave and blow kisses.
Yes. That's good. That's letting it go. Yeah.
So, 21 days. That's how we started this,
Yeah.
right? 21 days, no gossip,
Ready
no
now.
criticism, no complaints, no negative language. Well, that's great. There are no obstacles, only opportunities. You heard that one before, right?
Yes.
There are no obstacles, only opportunities. What you perceive coming at you may seem like an obstacle, but it is an opportunity for you to know a deeper truth. Right? The more you notice the good in your life, the more you get.
Yeah, that's a good one.
It's a great one. Love that. How many of you take time to notice the good? I mean, really, take time to notice the good. Of course, that you brought it up. If you slip, forgive yourself and start over.
Yeah.
And I love that she says, you better be darn careful on day 20.
Start all over.
That's true.
But of course, if you've reached to day 20, and when you reach day 21, the idea is that you have ingrained it now as your
Keep doing it.
state of being, and it no longer is work. It's just how you live your life. It's a habit.
Yes.
I've been trying to imagine going to work and not complaining. Complaining is the way we talk to each other.
It's a culture.
So you won't talk.
That's a habit.
You'll be quiet.
That's what I always ask.
You just smile.
quiet month.
Even if in your mind you're complaining, you just cancel it.
Yes. Cancel.
Yeah, and part of it is it's starting to learn to train your mind to not let that be your default reaction.
Right.
You know, and I have a pretty strong default still around my perception of vendors.
What do you mean?
I allow vendors to frustrate me. Vendors, like people who service the center. Like if I have to call Rogers,
Oh, okay.
I actually do approach it with, oh my gosh, this is going to be an ordeal, right? Of course.
So of course it's
What have I set into the universe? I've set into the universe. This is going to be an ordeal. Yeah.
I had the same attitude toward Bell, my provider, and I figured out that preparing the call before you make it and knowing exactly what you're going to ask
Right.
is the way to go.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I also have a little bit of a trigger because my perception. It's a perception, right? I love that I can stand up here and call myself on all of my stuff. But my perception also is that when I call, they're treating me like I'm the stupidest person alive. Drives me crazy.
Isn't that interesting?
Because because they don't know what I know. They don't know if I have any, like, especially when it comes to this internet stuff. I actually know quite a bit about setting up a network. And boy, when I call, they're like, have you done, yes, I've done, have you done, yes, I've done that, have you done, yes, I've done that. Well, it's probably a problem with your equipment. That's what they always get to. And I'm like, I get that from every single company every time I have a problem. Anyway.
Now we get them.
That's that.
Yeah.
But it's a habitual
Yeah.
tendency in my own thinking
Yes.
that I need to look at. Because if I want to continue to have the experience, I will continue to have the experience, but it's my choice. Absolutely my choice. You doing okay back there? I realize I look down here a lot. I don't look back there. Are you doing all right?
Scooby.
No, all of you.
Yeah, you.
I'm always doing okay.
So, here's another one. Give up what you don't want. How many of you,
Explain.
well,
Do that as a habit too.
do that as a habit
That would be
too.
a great habit, huh?
Yeah, give up what you don't want. One of the I have a hard time. I've always been a little bit of a pack rat. I have a hard time releasing material stuff in my life. Mostly because I look at it and I attach some sentimental value to it usually. If I really looked at the things that I have attached some level of value to it and asked the question, do I really want that? I bet a lot of the time the answer would be no. And it's not just about that. Give up the thoughts you don't want. Start to really get in touch with, what are you thinking? Is that a thought that I want to hold on to? If it's not, release it. You don't need it. But when you release it, replace it with a thought that you do want. Because pretty much 100% of the time, it's a terrible phraseology. 100% of the time, if it's a thought you don't want, you should be able to recognize the thought you do want.
Yeah.
And so it's about shedding that and embodying this. Have I ever talked to you about how do you instill a new belief?
No, personally.
We have in some classes.
Yeah.
Just
Talking
do
about
it.
arguing spiritual truth.
Well, you can argue the spiritual truth for sure. That's part of what treatment is, in the argumentative form of treatment. I throw those things at her
Claim
because,
or declare.
Well, first of all, you have to recognize that the belief exists.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's step number one. Number two, figure out the belief you would like to embody. Then, ruminate on the spiritual truth of that belief. You like that word, ruminate? Allow yourself to meditate on the spiritual truth, or ruminate on the spiritual truth of the belief that you would like to embody. And continue to do that until you have ingrained the new belief as your habit, and you've released the old belief. So,
Ruminate on what?
the spiritual truth
The spiritual truth,
of the belief you would like to embody.
which in some sense is putting together the spiritual arguments that contain support.
Yeah.
And build it.
Yeah, arguing down that which does not serve you.
Okay.
Or arguing up the new belief you want to serve you.
Yes. And there's only one argument ever for why that belief, the belief you would like to embody, should be your experience. What is that one argument?
God is everything, I'm God.
There you go.
I am part of that.
You're not part of that.
No,
You're
are.
that.
You are that.
I am that.
Yeah, I mean, yes, you are a part of it, but I think it's stronger to say, I am that. I am that thing.
Okay.
It is a shift that is happening in the Centers for Spiritual Living as a whole, because it used to be very much like, we are a part of God, we are all expressing as part of the great thing. And now we're saying, no, I am God. Which when people hear that, it may, what? What I'm not saying is, I am not saying I am the allness of God. When I recognize I am God, I also recognize you are God. You are God. Each of us has equal power and authority as the divine spirit.
and not only the people in this room, but birds are God.
Absolutely.
The trees are God.
Absolutely.
Your wall. You haven't been talking to the wall for a while.
I haven't. I still have the smiley face up there though.
Yeah. Oh, you moved it.
I did. Yeah.
We actually have an added ability though, because we can make a goal and 21 days later make it happen.
Yeah.
The birds are
The birds
really hard
can't.
at writing
No, the
it
birds
down.
are always living in the moment. Yeah.
Birds are always living in the moment.
21
Which
days.
I love. That's
Yeah.
like I can just focus on birds.
Oh, a worm.
Yeah. Ooh, yum, yum.
So, what else do I have here? I love also that she has this concept. It is necessary to have desires.
Absolutely.
It is necessary to have desires, for they are what propel us into evolution.
Yes.
You know, I talked all about evolution on Sunday. If you want to be propelled into evolution, live your desires and create more when you've experienced those desires. If they have a, you know, expiration date. Do you say expiry up here or expiration?
Expiry.
Expiry date.
Either.
Expiration.
I
date.
just said that before.
I'm hearing both, so
Either.
I'll just.
Neither, neither.
We are bilingual.
Meilleur avant.
Yeah.
Meilleur avant. That's before.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's the French version. That's right.
I'll see. Yeah,
You're really confusing.
I actually had an opportunity to learn French once, and I did not take it, and I should have. Actually, you know what?
It's okay.
I have the opportunity
Rephrase.
to learn French now if I choose to.
That's true. And
Very easily.
I'm thinking no is the answer to that. You don't choose to?
Right now, no.
Okay. Don't blame you.
No. So don't allow yourself to. So as you experience your desires, because I use willy-nilly here again in my notes. As you experience, as you develop your desires, really set the expectation that your desires manifest themselves, that your desires demonstrate. And I wrote here, do not allow yourself to slip into willy-nilly land with respect to spiritual practice.
Explain.
Allow your belief in that expectancy to be primary. Do not, again, it goes to this, and this, God bless them all. It goes to this place that drives me crazy with a lot of spiritual teachers, where they step back and all is good, everything's all perfect, and you know what? Their life is falling apart around their ears. What are they truly expecting? Because if you want to know what you expect, look at your life. Because it's showing up exactly based on your level of expectation.
Yeah.
If you want to experience more, expect more. You want to experience more, expect more. It's balanced like that. That's the way it works. And again, so this then goes to be specific in your expectation. I had an expectation when I first started studying this stuff. I had an expectation that money would flow through me.
And it keeps
Abundant
flowing through.
flowing money all the time.
And it did flow through.
And it did. I became the bookkeeper at the NoHo Art Center for New Thought, and money flowed through me all the time. And lots of it.
Stop. It just kept on going.
It kept going.
And
None of it was mine to use.
Yeah.
For me.
Got it.
I trust and know that money is for me. And money flows to me for my personal use at all times, and I trust it comes from infinite sources. But you gotta be specific, right? If you just want money to flow through you, I guarantee you, money will flow through you. But that's what, it's about setting up very specific expectations and not letting your mind be willy-nilly about it. I'm gonna keep saying willy-nilly as frequently as I can. And that is why goal setting is important too. If I What did I say?
Willy-nilly.
willy-nilly.
Really, it's always really, but
Money flows to me for my own personal use.
and then after that, there was something.
And it comes from infinite sources.
Remember, you can watch these on the archive.
I know, I'm like, what did I say? Because I don't have everything written down, word for word.
Archives, that's okay, archives.
Yeah, I'm sorry I don't recall exactly what the phrase was, but
It's also trust that you'll know what you
Yeah.
need to know.
exactly. I also love that she talks about comfort zones. It's also one of my big, I talk about pushing past your boundaries all the time, and about stepping out of, because here's the thing, you can live a very comfortable life. I have no problem with that if that's what you want to live, but I want more. And the truth is, unless it is required, this again goes to what I talked about on Sunday, unless it is required, you will never evolve. If you want to break through and go to the next level, experience the greater good, you must break through your comfort zones. Because if you don't require it of the universe, it will not happen. Right? What did I say? What is the thing he said? When we needed fingers, we grew fingers.
Yeah, that's right.
But it was a requirement at that point. That's emergent evolution. When it is required, it will happen. But many of us don't allow ourselves to go to that place of requirement because we're very comfortable in our little bubble. Right? Charles.
So this requirement is then a feeling state as well.
Sure.
So can you talk a little bit about that rather than just simply setting a goal and having that expectancy, the difference between that expectant state and the requirement state?
I think I can. I know I can. I trust that exactly the right answer is coming through me right now. Because you specifically would like to know about the feeling,
State that is
the feeling state.
requirement.
One of the things that is really very important in all of this is, how does it make you feel? When I treat, because I'm treating not to change circumstances or change experiences, I'm treating to change my mind, how do I know that the treatment is successful?
Because you believe it is.
Because I believe it is, but how do I know that I have changed the belief?
Because it demonstrates.
The sense of feeling. You can feel it. It is actually, you actually can have a physiological response from the change of the feeling of the energy. And so whenever I'm looking to, if the expectancy is for change, I will know that the change has been complete when I feel the difference. If I choose to feel joyful, it's not exactly the way I wanted to go. I wanted to put it this way. I'm going to use her example. If I choose to have a yellow Lamborghini because it makes me feel joy, I will trust that I will feel joyful. Now here's the thing. You can demonstrate a yellow Lamborghini. But also get real clear. If that yellow Lamborghini shows up and it does not instill the feeling in you, it may not be what you wanted in the first place. That's why you gotta, so even when you're setting out to determine what are your goals, what is the expectation here, get in touch with the feeling then. What do I expect to feel from this? And will this truly do it? And also one of the things is that feeling is the gasoline of the engine. When you get to that place of feeling, the universe must make it happen. Does that make sense? Feeling is very, very, very important.
Actually, the requirement thing came up. I understood that when you gave the example of you treating for others. So what I understood was, actually, as an overarching principle, Jonathan has made it a requirement that his treatments are demonstrating. And now what you're saying is how you tune in to your sense of the treatment is complete, is the feeling. But the setting of the requirement is pre-treatment. It is, one of the,
Yeah, so sometimes I'll even ask the question when and if we're talking about specific, well, I'll ask the question to myself. I'll get to you, Carmen, in just a second. I will sometimes ask the question of the person that's sitting with me. I'll say, what would you like to feel? How would this make you feel?
And many practitioners do.
Yeah, because you gotta get clear about that. Yes.
Is requirement is requirement the same as what you want? And aren't they the same thing?
They can be, yeah. I think, for me, I like to use the word requirement
Yeah,
because for
I
me,
do
just
too.
energetically, it's stronger than saying I want. It's
Yeah,
just an
I do
energetic
too.
thing personally. Like if I say, I want such and such, I just don't feel it as much as if I say, I require.
It's stronger.
It's yeah. But you also have to get in touch with what makes you feel, right? What makes you feel the passion about what you are choosing to experience. For me, to say, I require this.
What do you think about how Edwene Gaines talks to God? You know, she's like, okay, God, I've done everything.
Well,
That's the requirement.
I've done everything, and
Right.
it hasn't shown up. What do I have to do?
Well, here's the bigger question. Who is she actually talking to?
Herself, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Start to become aware of your own self-talk. Is your self-talk defeatist? Because
Internally sometimes, yeah.
you're just talking to God.
Yeah.
God will show up
Arguing in
exactly as it needs to. What was that?
Arguing in mind.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, and I love that she also, so if we're going to talk about feeling a little bit more, one of the greatest feelings that's a great indicator is the feeling of fear. How do you know how to get in touch with the feeling of fear? Do you truly know if you are in fear about something? Not always, huh? You may be denying your own good
It's masked.
without even realizing that you're denying it because you're in a place of fear.
And fear masks itself or
Yeah.
takes on many different costumes.
Yeah.
Make excuses for why you don't want to do something.
Right.
Or settle.
We are
Or settle.
Or
for
settle,
sure.
oh yeah.
we are masters of masking fear.
Yeah.
Yes.
So start to ask yourself the question. I love the question that she asks. How to get in touch with fear. What if?
That's true.
What if you had everything that you thought you needed infinitely? What if you had $10 trillion show up in your bank account tonight?
Yay!
baby.
How would that make you feel?
Government made up
Awesome. If that happens to you, when that happens to you, just remember to tithe, please.
Yes.
What's 10% of 10 trillion?
Oh, it's a lot.
1 trillion.
Yes, it would be, that's right, yes, that's right.
That's awesome. We could have a new place.
Yeah, you're using simple numbers, because you went from 10 million last week to 10 billion and 10 trillion.
I'm increasing my mental equivalent. Oh, and okay, so I will. Wow. Oh my gosh. We have abundant amounts of time in the last 12 minutes. Can you believe that? Yes, 12 minutes. So I got called out, and I'm gonna also then admit that I got called out.
How so?
I got called out by a practitioner.
Ooh.
I was gonna say, I won't tell you who. There were only 2 sitting in the room last week, so. I got called out by a practitioner after class
Wow.
because she caught something that I said, and I said it repeatedly, and I will tell you, she's absolutely right.
So what was it?
I kept saying, I don't care about $10 million. I don't care about $10 million.
Oh, so it doesn't care about you.
Doesn't care about you.
Exactly. Then $10 million does not care about me. Why would I ever attract into my experience $10 million if I say I don't care about it?
So why did you say that?
I was trying to remember the context. I should go watch the video. The context was to not, it really was about not limiting yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
We have to be careful with the words.
But we have to be really clear. Am I saying I don't care about $10 million because I want to open myself up and be unlimited in what my concept of abundance is? Or, here it is, am I in that place of fear that I am unworthy of $10 million?
Right.
And it's now masking itself
As I don't care.
as I don't care. She was absolutely right to call me on that. And so I'll stand up here and say, I was wrong. I do care about $10 million and more. And this center, the value of this center is far beyond even that, in my mind.
Oh, completely.
Yeah.
Here, here.
I think part of the context at that time was that money is important, yes, but it is not about money.
Right.
That is what was key. I think.
Right. Yeah, it was. It's about, let's not limit our good to the concept of $10 million. Like, is that going to fix everything?
With respect to the center, I believe you're very clear that every time there is a service, you're fulfilling the purpose of us and everyone in your own self.
Mhm.
And in many ways, you're allowing the divine to flow through is as great right now as it would be if it were tenfold or 100-fold or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And I'm getting better about not feeling limited in the space, as you can tell, as I start to like leap across and, you know.
It would be awesome if this was 10 times bigger than this and you're talking
10 million
to an
times.
audience.
It will be.
That's
It
really
is
no
awesome.
ministry is the beginning.
Yeah. Yes. And I think I know it's happening sooner than any of us expect.
The momentum is
All right, so 10 minutes, yeah. So I've actually was going to do an exercise. I can't do it in 10 minutes though. But I'm going to then have you do it this week. I was going to give, I'm giving 2 homework assignments. You're actually going to do the things in the book. Right? The first one is the thing that she put at the end of this section, which is list 5 extremely scary things that there is no way you would ever do or ever want to do. I've already got 2.
Are you going
Would
to
you
share?
share?
I will share the 2 that I've already come up with. Skydiving.
Oh, that's on my list. Scary. Yeah.
Wow.
And I have no
Bungee
desire.
Done it,
No.
it's not so bad.
And the edge walk.
I have no
And what's
desire.
that?
Oh,
There it
I'll
is.
go with
What's the
you.
other one?
On
Edge walk.
CN Tower.
Oh, excellent.
My
Yes.
brother
See, I
and my
can't do that.
nephews are doing
We're
it.
You don't know about the edge walk?
I'll do it
There
with
was
you.
a
Boxing in a ring.
The edge walk is you actually go outside on top of the CN Tower.
Okay,
And
that's
no.
And lean over.
And yeah,
Not ever. Yeah, that would be my.
Did you,
favorite.
on the news the other night, a 90-year-old lady, that's how she celebrated her birthday with her grandchildren. Edge walk. How cool.
not that I have to have this consideration about someone who is physically 90 years old, but if she can do it, why the hell can't I?
You can. But I have no desire
to.
to.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can if you want to. I don't want to.
It's got
And
to
I've
be
also
right.
stated,
Want to.
when we come up with a down payment for a building, that's what I will do it.
That's what it was. I knew there was
You're going to
something.
do an edge walk?
Yes, when we come up with when this community comes up with a down payment for a building,
Why
I
would
will
you
do
do
the edge
something
walk.
you don't want to do?
as a level of showing my commitment to this community.
It's not that you don't want to, it's something that
You're scared.
terrifies
It's
you
just
to challenge
terrifies me.
yourself to do it.
Terrifies you.
It'd be like skydiving, it's the same, jumping out of a perfectly good airplane.
Except I will tell you,
Yes, exactly.
That was still easier. Edge walk still scares me more.
Yeah?
so
Yeah.
I've done it.
how high do you go before you jump?
Hi.
1,500
Oh,
feet.
really high.
1,500 feet?
Yeah, at least
That's
1,500
high.
feet.
pretty
Flipping
low.
hell.
Yeah, no, that's the minimum.
Yeah.
That's the minimum.
Ask
Oh.
Sonia, she's
Jonathan,
skydiving.
you want to go high? I've done 5.
The static line where you're.
I don't, I fly helicopters
Yes.
at 50
Yes,
feet.
yes, you use the square sheets.
Because I'll tell you what I actually when I went to Kamloops last week, a week and a half ago now, and I flew into Calgary, and then you get on the little prop plane to go from Calgary to Kamloops. And I'll tell you, you don't go that high in those little
No.
planes.
No, it's
And I was actually sitting there, I was looking out the window, and I actually did have the thought, I might be able to do a skydive.
And that's what you jump from, is one of those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I actually did have the thought that I might be able to do that.
Yeah.
It's just that my concept was 36,000 feet. I'm looking down like,
Yeah, right.
Hell no.
people are crazy.
You will not get there.
I am not Felix Baumgartner. Oh. All right, so the homework. List 5 extremely scary things that there is no way you would ever do or ever want to do, even though I've now talked down 2 of them. List 5 scary things that you have always wanted to do but never had the nerve to do. This is all in the book, by the way.
Yeah.
List 5 small things and only small and only slightly scary things that you could do today if you chose to. Then, choose the most appealing of the 5 small things and write down the first step toward achieving that goal. And then here's my suggestion to you. Do these first 4 steps early this week. The 5th step is to do it, and I want you all to do it this week.
Okay.
You have to do it before the next class.
What was the middle one,
Tuesday.
sorry?
It's all.
5 extremely scary things that there's no way you would ever do.
Yeah.
5 scary things you've always wanted to do but never had the nerve to do. 5 small and only slightly scary things that you could do today if you chose to. Choose the most appealing of the 5 small things and write down the first step toward achieving the goal. And do that step this week.
It's in the book.
And then I want you also, a lot of homework, I want you also to do the goal setting exercises. Do all 10 steps of the goal setting exercise. Write down all of your, I'm just going to quickly ramble through them because they're all in the book. Write down all of your desires. Choose the most important and list them in order of importance. Consider what changes you might need to make in order to achieve your goals. Set the date by which you want to achieve the goal. Read your list at least 3 times every morning and every night. Imagine yourself achieving the goal. That goes to feeling. Imagine yourself achieving the goal. Act as if you've already achieved the goal. Don't tell others. Keep your goals private. Why is that? Because others can have a way of telling you why you can't.
They poo-poo it.
Absolutely. Remember that you can. Others' opinions are not important. And you don't have to prove anything to anyone.
That's right.
Cross off the goals as you achieve them and continue to add new ones. Keep in mind that God's highest law is love. And love is the self-givingness of spirit from the desire to create life, to express life. So, are there any questions?
Yeah, why 12?
Oh, jeez.
One for every month.
Do what
Because.
yeah.
My mother always used
Do-
to say
do-
because.
Do what feels comfortable.
Still, okay.
No,
And you know what I'm going to do with it? I'm going to tie it back. Thank you.
I'll take it. No, I'm joking.
All right. Questions, thoughts? Read the next law. We will discuss the next law, the law of forgiveness, next week. Again, I'm just going to remind you of something I said last week, which is you're here for a reason. And if you really take to heart doing the work that she has set out, whether you believe it'll work or not at this point, just do the work and see what happens. Just do the work and see what happens. Because what do we say in mental muscle and in CPR and in all of James Mellon's world? Do the work, live the results.
That's true.
All right.
Yeah.
And now we're going to treat and move our feet. So I encourage you all to relax right where you are. Take the energy that we've embodied, all of us, right here in this moment, and really recognize that it is fully present because it is the presence of the divine. And in this fullness, and in this place of recognition, I know that God is all there is. Only this one perfect idea, this one perfect energy, this one perfect infinite source of all creation. It is perfectly present right here and right now, and it is expressing itself by means of each and every one of us, everyone who's watching online, everyone who ever will watch online. It is all perfect all the time, and it is perfect by means of us, for we are each of us perfection embodied. I know that everything that has transpired this evening is fully orbed in our consciousness right here and right now, and leads to greater demonstrations of good in each and every one of our lives. I trust this, and I know this to be true, for there is only one truth, and that is we are each of us perfect individualist expressions of God, living our lives as God, breathing the truth, living the truth as God. And so God is the only option in all experience. So I allow that to be. And in gratitude, I simply release this word, relaxing into it, knowing that it demonstrates perfectly, easily, and effortlessly, for it is a done deal in my own mind, right here and right now. I let it be so. And together we say, and so it is. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
You've got to be